Testing. It's working. Good morning. We will start our service whenever we get all the sound worked out.
There's a switch in here we need to flip. If there is, I don't know which one it is.
Yeah. We probably messed it up.
Okay, accessibility is important. We'll take all the time we need.
Yeah, I'm not that sure. Well, it'll need to be higher for.
Test.
Let's do that one back up. Good morning. Are our online people with us? That's great. All right. Officially, good morning and welcome to Westside Unitarian Universalist Church. If you don't know me, my name is Helen Greenwood, and it is definitely my pleasure to be the worship associate this morning. Westside, as I hope many of you know, is a congregation that welcomes each person into our community with an open heart and an open mind, regardless of the path you may have taken to get here. We welcome those of you who are with us here in person and those of you who are joining us on YouTube, either right now in the present time or at some time in the future. If you're new with us, or even if you're not, if you're here in person, we hope that you will stay after the service for coffee and conversation. But if you are new, there are some materials that will tell you a little bit about Westside and about Unitarian Universalism over near the windows and also conveniently near the coffee. And as we are getting off to a very scrambled start this morning anyway, and Linda just reminded me as I started the welcome that we had not done our gathering music. So we are actually going to begin the service this morning with gathering music that is in your gray hymnal, the gray hymnal number 361. Enter, rejoice, and come in. And let's stand. We won't make you stand for all these hymns today, but let's get our blood flowing. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song.
Did you get your one?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, y'all. That was beautiful. I'm going to invite Ellen to sing ring our singing bowl. This service is called UU Libs and Other Shenanigans, and y'all, there's going to be some shenanigans. I'm going to tell you right now that I finished writing this sermon at 10 o'clock this morning because it would not come. So my friend Christy asked me if I ever finished writing it, and I said, sorry? Oh, of course. Can y'all hear me? Better? Here. I was saying there's going to be some shenanigans. Texted me this morning, asked how the sermon was coming, and I said, well, the hard bit about being called is sometimes God leaves me on hold too long. So we got there. It's going to be fun. I'm glad y'all are here, and I'm going to invite Ellen to bring her. And wonder. Come you who emerge into this place as an act of liberation. Come you who seek a life of mindfulness and a place to test your thoughts. Come you who bring hearts of all kinds, heavy hearts, rusty hearts, hearts broken open in revelation. Begin our story again, gathering courage, love, mindfulness, and a sense of purpose. We gather as people of all ages, of different abilities, different backgrounds, and different perspectives. We share a covenant, a direction for our shared journey, and a commitment to encourage and challenge one another to spiritual growth. This path will ask much from us. Let us move forward with love. Let us move forward with appreciation for one another. Let us move forward knowing we are not alone. Whoever you are, whatever your gifts, you are welcome on this journey. And we do have those two little extra candles up there. We typically light one for something joyful and one for something not so joyful. So one of those is lit today, just in acknowledgement of the great pain of the world, all of the current events unfolding, and just everything that's heavy in our hearts. And the cool thing about the immense pain is that there is a mirror of immense love and joy. And today we are also celebrating enthusiastically that our Reverend Carol is getting married. That is why I'm here in the pulpit today, because Reverend Carol's busy getting married. So we send her and Tracy all kinds of wonderful love and good energy, and hope they have an absolutely beautiful and joyful day. You do, Judy, that's fine.
We are still not getting.
Oh.
Maybe just
Up close and personal. Is that better? More like, all right, we can do that. All right. I love it. Like I said at the beginning, accessibility is important, and it's really important to me, and I would so rather be interrupted 20 times than have somebody not know what's going on because they can't hear it. All right. We have a time for all ages this morning, and it is an audience participation, or there's an opportunity for audience participation. So if anyone would like to be a little bit courageous, I could use like 4 or 5 folks right up front. No pressure. All right, Alice, yes. Suzanne, yes. Lori, yes. David. We love to see it. Now, when I did this story with kids, I did have them sit on the floor. My knees can't do that anymore, so I'm not going to have y'all sit on the floor. But if you could please, maybe sit rows of 2, stand next to each other, 2 by 2, and we're going to pretend we're on a little ship. Sorry, I'm not here. Here. And now we're going to turn that way. All right. So, we are talking about allyship today. Who knows what an ally is? Lori, what's an ally?
Someone who supports someone else who is not necessarily just like them.
Yeah, someone who supports someone else who's not necessarily just like them. Good. Someone who supports someone with a marginalized identity. And who knows what a ship is? Like a pirate ship. What's a pirate ship? Everybody familiar? Yo-ho! All right. So when we put those 2 words together, we get allyship. And I need y'all to help me row this allyship. This allyship has to be manually rowed, like one of those really cool old-timey boats, right? So we're going to work together to get this ship moving. And grown-ups or folks who are out in the audience, you can help too. So I'm going to row. Can y'all help me row this ship? There you go. Row this ship. It's going to take all of us because it's big, there's a lot, it's a big task, right? And if this isn't physically comfortable for you, that's totally fine. Yeah, I have no idea how to, oh yeah, he doesn't know how to do it. Everybody else is going backwards. All right. So, if we were on a real ship and half of us are rowing one way and half of us are rowing the other way, are we going to go anywhere? No. What if somebody stops rowing? What if everybody stops rowing? We stop, so everybody needs to work together to keep the ship moving, right? Now, what if somebody makes a mistake? Do we back them if they're bored? David and Suzanne, if you can help me act out this, would you yeet them off the ship when they make a mistake? No, we don't get yeeted off the ship when we make a mistake. I just wanted to see how y'all would do that. No. When somebody makes a mistake on the allyship, especially in the context of this community, what do? Help them out. We call them back into covenant. We remind them, hey, we all agreed to row this ship together, and now you're doing something different. What's going on with that? And that works out a whole lot better than just canceling people and yeeting them off the ship, right? Yeah, I thought so. One more question though. What if we make a mistake while we're rowing? Apologize. What if we're that person who is receiving the feedback that says, hey man, you messed up. You caused harm. We're gonna have to fix this. What do you do when you're that person that receives that feedback? Ask for advice. Lori's making a face at me. That's all valid. We ask for, sorry, what was that? Ask for clarification. What else? Learn. Some people get embarrassed and apologetic. Some people get embarrassed and argumentative, right? We've all been up. Defensive, yeah, it's really easy to become defensive. But what I love about this community is that we get to practice those skills. We get to practice receiving feedback in a really safe place and practice workshopping together. Hey, what do we do when we're that person who messed up? And I think it's really valuable to have space where we're allowed to mess up, where we're allowed to be human, where we're allowed to be messy and be learning. Because none of us have this all figured out, right? Who's an expert in social justice? I have have a master's degree in religious leadership for social change. I would not remotely consider myself an expert in social justice. We all have more to learn, and we're all working on it together. Thank you so much for helping me demonstrate that, y'all. And we're gonna have another song here in just a minute, but actually first we have a surprise song, which the choir does not know about. And it's okay, I promise you know it. We are going to sing Happy Birthday to Miss Ellen, who had a birthday this past week and thought she could sneak past without getting Happy Birthday sent to her.
We also need to include Bridget.
And Bridget, anyone else? And Craig. David on Tuesday, all right. So happy birthday, dear Ellen, Bridget, Craig, and David on Tuesday, all right? Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ellen, Bridget, Craig, and David on Tuesday. Happy birthday to you. And after the service, there is funfetti cake challah that I made. It's really cool. It has rainbow sprinkles. It is funfetti flavored challah. It is vanilla like cake flavored with rainbow sprinkles, and it's so cool. I know, right? I went to Paris too. Miss Ellen was the librarian there. 2011. I love it here. All right. Now we do have another hymn that the choir is prepared for. Are y'all going to come up for this one or no? Yes, all right. That's going to be number 1059 in your Teal hymnal, Let Your Life Be As a Song.
And I'm going to add a few directions. We're going to do this one as a round. So we're singing it all the way through one time. All together. And Sandra, if you could give us a starting note, that would be great. So all the way through one time, then the first people to go will be over here on my right. We were calling this the kitchen side of the room. And then when we get to number 2, the second line, those of you on the piano side of the room will join in. So let your life be as a song.
So we have some numbers. So let's sing.
Oh, may your life be as a song.
May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing with the light, and softly serenade the stars never ending circles in the night. May your life be as a song, resounding with your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing with the heart, and softly serenade the stars never ending circles in the night. Resounding with your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing with the heart, and softly serenade the stars never dancing circles in the night.
All right. Hey, y'all. So I realized I failed to introduce myself. My name is Helen. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs. I've been a Westsider since 2011 when I graduated high school. So that's been 13 years now. Cool. And I am a Unitarian Universalist pastor in progress, which means that I'm still in the credentialing process. And I've worked with kids for a really long time, about 16 years. I started as a camp counselor, and I've worked with, kids in a mental health treatment facility, at Boys and Girls Club, in churches, and all kinds of different settings. And I also was the oldest of 4 kids, 9 grandkids. I started babysitting when I was like 7. So that's all to kind of set the stage for the story I'm going to start with. Now, if you were on my Facebook this week, you saw a very condensed version of this story, but there's a little more to it now. So, I'm sitting at the edge of the apartment complex pool while my child jumps in. My kiddo isn't here with us today. He is joyfully camping with his granny and Jack. He's 8 and his name is Henry. I default to my camp counselor training, hang 10, which means 10 toes over the edge of the pool, eyes on the water, constantly scanning for safety. The upstairs neighbor and I joked about relaxing and closing our eyes at the pool while our kids shrieked and splashed on opening day last week. The kiddo and I are alone, except for 2 teens who are sitting off in the corner. After a few moments, I hear them moving closer. Are you gonna ask her? Yeah, I'll ask her. Excuse me? Hi, what's up? Can you supervise us so we can swim? The people in the office won't let us get in because we don't have an adult with us. The kid in front of me is much younger than I thought at a distance, maybe 11, with long black hair. She has beautiful brown skin, and her friend, hanging back nervously, is white. I passively wonder if the staff would have gotten onto them so swiftly if they both looked like me. Sure thing. I just need you to make sure it's okay with your adults. Are you able to call them? The kids exchange nervous looks. One family doesn't speak English, and the others, adults, are at work and unreachable. Okay. Can you text them and just let me know once you have permission? Sometimes I really wish I could be a cooler mom. Sorry, I said. If I didn't work with kids, I wouldn't be so uptight about it. I don't love the liability implications of supervising 2 kids I don't know at the neighborhood pool, but I also know the risk is relatively low and the kids seemed keen to follow the rules. Plus, I was confident I could handle an emergency should one arise. Moments later, they get the green light and jump into play. One of them seems like a confident swimmer, and the other names that they can't swim and they stick to the shallow end, where my kiddo's pretty excited to have a playmate. I sit on the side and supervise, instinctively doing a head count. 1, 2, 3, everyone's good, about every 45 seconds or so. And pretty content to not be the one entertaining my own child for a few minutes that day. As introductions were made in the course of play, someone mispronounced my kiddo's name. We're working on learning how to be assertive, so I coached him. I said, you can say, actually, my name is Henry, just like when I correct people about my pronouns. It's okay to politely let people know they got something wrong. Actually, my name is Henry, actually, my pronouns are they, them, and just leave it at that. You don't have to apologize. Wide eyes from one of our new friends. Your pronouns are they, them? Oh, shoot. Was not the real word that I said in my brain. I wonder if I just inadvertently opened a door that I try very hard to steer away from in public, and with new people. Yep, my pronouns are they, them. The kid's face softens. Aww. I can't quite tell if it's genuine or some sort of bless your heart in Gen Alpha speak. But what I do notice is that their friend lights up and suddenly becomes very chatty. I recognize the look on their face instantly. It's the glimmer of euphoria that is only allowed to breach the surface in the sacred witness of community. Well, my pronouns are they, he, and I'm bi, they blurt out, and go on to chatter for several minutes about their identities and experience, asking me all kinds of questions along the way. I listen, nodding and smiling, so none of the kids can see my internal panic. I didn't expect them to open up like that. They look at me expectantly. Thanks for sharing that. I smile and I let the silence linger for a moment. And then I tell them my best friend is a trans man. He's so happy, and I love seeing how joyful he is, being true to himself and genuine. I have nothing but love for this kid. And I can't overstate the panicked internal tightrope I am walking between how much I want to wholeheartedly affirm this kid and how much I do not want to be a strange adult talking about queer stuff with an unsupervised minor in the wild. We chatted for a while, and I basked in the honor of being a safe place for someone to be authentic, if only for a moment. And I know it sounds like this is kind of a pat myself on the back kind of story, and I almost didn't tell it for that reason, but stick with me. Except with my church community here at Westside and at South Press Coffee Shop, which is a queer-owned coffee shop that is amazing. But except in those two places, I've been really afraid to be visibly queer in public since I moved back to Tennessee early this year. I've been enjoying the strange and quiet privilege of gay divorce, which is no longer being visibly queer most of the time. And as Pride Month approaches, I hadn't once considered putting up a pride flag. The risk just felt too significant. We're going to come back to this in just a minute, but what we're going to do next is just a teeny tiny little guided meditation. So I invite you to close your eyes, settle into your seat, and take a deep breath. Now imagine you're hiking in the Great Smoky Mountains. It's a beautiful day. You're enjoying the nature. It's sunny, but not hot. And there's a light breeze. By the grace of some divine being, there are no mosquitoes. You're all alone in your peaceful little moment. And suddenly you realize you have company. Now I want you to imagine you turn around and see who's joined you. You have two choices. It is either a bear or a man. Which do you prefer? Now think on that a second and come back into your body. Now I see some of y'all know what I'm talking about and some of y'all are very confused. That's okay. This question, you're in the woods, would you rather run into a bear or a man? This is something that has been floating around the internet for a few weeks. And unsurprisingly, most women and people of marginalized genders chose the bear. I'll leave you to do some digging into that whole discourse and some pondering as to why you think that overall consensus may be. It's been really interesting to see how this question has evolved over the last few weeks. There were tons and tons of responses. Some people absolutely didn't get it. Some people totally got it. Some people, all over the place. It's good stuff, actually. So this question has been posed different ways to different kinds of people. Notably, it was posed to Black women, asking, you're in a workplace setting, and your supervisor is either a white man or a white woman. Which do you prefer? The overwhelming majority of Black women said neither. And I can't really blame them. They said, or many said that is a choice between someone who will pretend to be your friend and then weaponize their tears, and someone who will overtly dismiss and belittle them. And they said neither feels like a good option. And so it's been asked in many ways. It's making some people big mad. There's a whole lot of, not all men, why do you believe this about all men? Nobody believes this about all men. This question wasn't posed to demonstrate all men are bad. That's not true. Nobody's saying that. But it was posed specifically for the moderates, for the folks who are aware but maybe not engaged. For the men who might not really realize how absolutely dire it can be to be a woman or a person of a marginalized gender in our society. And this was especially apparent when a question was posed to fathers of young daughters. Would you rather your young daughter be alone in the woods with a bear or a man? The horror on their faces as they realized the depth of what this question was asking and the implications, it was honestly kind of sad, but it was really important. Many of those men probably considered themselves allies to feminist causes, but I'd like to gently suggest that we cannot call ourselves allies to anyone unless we are close enough to them to get hit by rocks that are being thrown at them. As we're coming up on Pride Month, this has me wondering about allyship in terms of queer inclusion and justice. It makes me wonder, as a queer person, if I had to encounter someone who was homophobic, would I rather encounter someone who is overtly or covertly homophobic? Would I rather encounter someone who's nice to my face or calls me a slur to my face? And on the flip side, would I rather have an ally who hangs back and supports me behind the scenes? Or would I prefer to have an ally who is intentional about their allyship being visible and obvious? Would I rather have someone in a book club about my lived experience, or someone who is willing to stand beside me, even if that means they're getting hit by stones being thrown at me? Advocacy can come at great personal risk. It is an incredible ask, or at least it can feel that way, to expect another person to leverage their safety, privilege, and position to support another. Far too often in our society, we lean towards individualism. Very well, that's not me, it's not impacting me, I don't care, right? But that is no way to live, and it is certainly no way to thrive. We need each other, even when we don't want to admit it. Now, I want to talk about a person in our local community who exemplifies what it means to be an ally, what it means to be patriotic, what it means to show up in support of your values radically and unapologetically. And before I go on, does anybody have any ideas who I might be talking about? Mary Frances, who we talk about? Yassine! Yes! I'm talking about Yassine. Now, who's familiar with Yassine's Falafel House? A lot of us are familiar with Yassine's Falafel House. If you are not, here's the TLDR, which is Internet Speak for Too Long Didn't Read. Yassine Turo is a local business owner. He is a Syrian refugee who came to Knoxville several years ago and opened his restaurant, Yassine's Falafel House. A few years ago, Yassine's Falafel House was named the nicest place in America by Good Morning America and had a whole bunch of news coverage. And that's largely due to the radically inclusive nature of the business, which is reflective of the personal values and radically inclusive personality of its owner. The store proudly boasts a large poster and t-shirts proclaiming welcome, all sizes, all colors, all ages, all sexes, all cultures, all religions, all types, all beliefs, all people are safe here. And he really practices what he preaches. Despite the significant personal risk involved with public advocacy, Yassine has loudly and proudly supported social justice movements, including Black Lives Matter, and now has joined the People's School for Gaza and students organizing at the University of Tennessee in protesting the ongoing genocide against Palestine. Yassine, along with 10 other demonstrators, was arrested about 2 weeks ago at one of the demonstrations, and he was injured by UT police in the process. He's received an incredible amount of support and an incredible amount of negative feedback in the aftermath. which I imagine he may have expected. I also imagine it might be easier or more comfortable to say nothing. He might sell more falafel if he wasn't so publicly involved in advocacy, and especially in so-called controversial issues. But being silent isn't aligned with his values. This is the man who, without hesitation, took off with food supplies and took days of his life to feed people in the aftermath of tornadoes in Middle Tennessee a few years ago, who raised funds for earthquake victims, and I believe it was Turkey and Ukraine, and raised a whole bunch of aid for them, who never misses an opportunity to support his community. This is someone who gives free meals to the homeless and embodies all that is great about America, all that is great about inclusion and diversity, and honestly looks and acts a hell of more like Jesus Christ than most folks here in East Tennessee. This person takes up causes that speak to his heart and values simply because it's the right thing to do, and I am inspired by that. So back to my little friends at the pool. A little while after this experience, I decided to ask myself, what would Yassine do? I decided I'm definitely going to put up a pride flag this year. I'm definitely going to start wearing a rainbow bracelet at the pool. I'm definitely going to rock the t-shirt I just bought that says, "This pastor loves you," in rainbow letters at every opportunity I can. This does come at some personal risk. I definitely bought 2 of every pride item that I'm going to hang up outside of my house because I expect that they're probably going to be stolen or taken down. But in this risk-benefit analysis, there's something that supersedes any risk I could personally take on. Queer and trans youth are at an exorbitant risk of death by suicide. This is especially true when they are in environments that are unaffirming. In fact, just having one affirming adult in their life can drastically reduce a queer teen's risk of death by suicide. So I imagine for me, at worst, I might have to have an uncomfortable conversation with another adult. And that's really the worst case scenario. But the worst case scenario for some of these kids is so much worse. And on the week that we mark the 4-year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd, which reinvigorated the Black Lives Matter movement, I would be remiss if I did not even mention that Yassine did not face the worst case scenario as a brown man interacting with the police a couple of weeks ago. But I do imagine that he was aware of the significant personal risk he took on by joining our students at the University of Tennessee, and he still did so with enthusiasm and pride. So as we move into Pride Month in just a few days, I encourage you to ask yourself, what would Yassine do? I encourage you to ask yourself if you are close enough to those you claim to be an ally to be hit by rocks being thrown at them. And maybe ask yourself how you can strive to shield them from some of those stones. Because I gotta tell you, your queer friends are tired. We are tired of looking over our shoulders. We are tired of being in the news. We are tired of the push and pull between excitement that there's pride stuff in the stores and grumpy about rainbow capitalism, that the only time of year anybody seems to market towards us is when they think we're likely to spend a lot of money. We're scared for our friends. We're scared for our kids. We're scared for our community, and we are tired. We are tired of burying our youth. We are tired of fighting for basic human rights. We are tired of begging to be acknowledged. And as a queer person who is striving to be an ally to the people of Palestine right now, I know I cannot understand exactly what they're going through. I cannot empathize exactly, but I think I have some sliver of a shadow of an idea. And something I know about Unitarian Universalism is we are so proud to be a queer affirming church. We know how to support and affirm our queer community. We know how to march at Pride, and we know all the comebacks to all those statements about, well, the Bible says, actually it doesn't. And as we move into Pride Month, I encourage you to take some of that energy and direct it towards our siblings in Palestine. I encourage you to direct some of that energy towards supporting some of our youth activists at the University of Tennessee and beyond. The Side with Love and the UUA put out a really powerful statement about supporting youth advocates, or advocates and student advocates, a couple weeks ago that I'll be happy to share with y'all. And I'm also happy to share links and resources to these accounts from these students at UT so you can learn from them firsthand. And I encourage you to take risks where you can, because it is a privilege to have the opportunity to choose to take a risk. And it is an honor to be a safe place for another human being. One of my favorite quotes regarding justice work is from the Talmud. It says, "Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Do justly now. Love mercy now. Walk humbly now. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it." The good thing about justice work is it is all related. So sometimes we may feel like we're all sitting in our separate corners, tugging our little edges of the fabric of the universe, doing our environmental justice work and our queer justice work and everything else, and it may feel like we're all separate, but we're all working towards the same goal, which is beloved community and liberation for all. May we make this vision a reality in our world. May we hold one another in radical love and acceptance, and may we be held as well. May it be so, blessed be. We have one more song, number 108. Oh, wait. Two more songs. You're right. Two more songs. The next one is number 108, My Life Flows On, an Endless Song. Did I get it right?
We ready? If you're ready, sorry. Yeah. Yes, I know. We're ready. Yeah. At this time in our service, we regularly talk about ways that we can exemplify the justice and the generosity that make up so much of what we consider our UU values. So there are a number of things that I need to mention. As you probably know by now, if you've been coming for any time at all, we do not pass an offering plate anymore. However, we do continue to support the work of this congregation with our financial donations as well as all kinds of activities and other support that we can give. There's a box at the back of the sanctuary for you to use for cash or check donations. There's also a QR code available there, displayed on the box, and that's also in your order of service, and I am pretty sure that it is available on the website and in our regular Wednesday newsletter for those of you who would prefer to do your giving online. Our share of the plate partner for this quarter is Knox Pride, and I believe a few people paid a visit to the Pride Center a little earlier this week. On Sunday, June 9th, we're going to take another field trip, in case you didn't get to go to the first one, down to the Pride Center. There is a sign-up sheet right at the back of the sanctuary where you can sign up if you would like to join us. This will be after the service on June 9th. We're supporting Knox Pride with contributions from the undesignated cash that is included in our offering. And there are also ways that you can donate to our Share the Plate partner if you look at the information online. And we are collecting food and personal items for their food pantry there at the Pride Center. And I think on June 9th, those of us who go will have an opportunity to find out a lot more about that. So I hope you'll join us. And at this time, I'm going to make just a couple of other announcements. We have been trying to cut back on announcements, and we were in sort of a scramble at the beginning of the service, and I forgot to say anything about announcements. But as you have already been told, our minister, the Reverend Carol Badeau, is not here today because of her wedding. And next Sunday, June 2nd, the whole day will be a day of celebration. Our service will be a celebratory service for the work of the Westside, especially for the last 10 years, and to celebrate the fact that this is Reverend Carol's 10th year with us as well. And then following the service, we will have, it'll be our regular monthly potluck, but this will be a very special wedding celebration potluck for Carol and Tracy. There is a sign-up sheet also at the back. You have to, if you sign up for something, you better check the top of it and see what you're signing up for. If you know what dish you're going to bring on next Sunday, then there's a place to put that. There is a card back there for Reverend Carol and Tracy if you would like to sign that. And I think there's just an information sheet to tell you a little bit about the party as well, to help you know if you want to give a gift. And I think it also points out there that in honor of Carol and Tracy's dedication to food justice, we are encouraged as much as possible to bring food that comes from local sources, farmers markets, your own vegetable garden, something local, if possible. So we'll look forward to that. And we do have one more hymn. Now you may think we're singing a lot of hymns this morning. And this is actually a service that I bid on and won the bid on at our auction a few months ago, and a service that Helen offered to put on. And as part of that, I got to stipulate what I really like about worship services, and I said singing music, singing together. So there are more hymns than usual, and if this doesn't suit you, it'll probably be different next week, but just wait till there's another auction and you can bid on a service and do it however you want to. But we are going to sing, Won't Make You Stand for this one, number 6 in the gray hymnal, Just As Long As I Have Breath.
It's a tradition at Westside to stand and join hands for the benediction if you want to. If you don't want to, that's okay too. I'm going to find my paper. See, one thing that Ellen requested was no prayer, which is fine, no spoken prayer. So we have another beautiful reading for you for our closing benediction today. And your order of service does say that Reverend Carol is giving these closing words. Obviously, she is not. Well, I was going to say, I can try to channel her, and I'll start with, well, here's the thing. Her son is my best friend. We make that joke a lot. What if everything went according to plan? At first, we might accomplish more of what we think we need to accomplish. And it may seem less stressful at first being able to anticipate what happens next. And after a certain amount of time, and that amount would vary person to person, the once comfortable predictability would become less comfortable and, well, boring. If we always know what happens next, we lose the joy of surprise, serendipitous experiences, and the excitement that comes from anticipating the unknown. Friends, let us gather with open, curious hearts, ready to explore the unpredictable, learn from its wisdom, and embrace its beauty. May it be so, and blessed be. Go in peace and power. Thank you.